sun, they say the moon will shine on Ambazonia. Hallelujah. They say the sun will shine someday. They say the moon on Ambazonia. Hallelujah. I want to be free in my homeland called Ambazonia. Hallelujah. It's been 6 years, it's been 10 years, it's been 49 years. We've been alone. Ambazonia. They say we'll be free through a sea and sea. Ambazonia. Free. Hallelujah. I know that you mustn't forget the plebiscite of 1960, interpolitical strategy held by their majesty Elhad Aijo. Interpolitical strategy, scientific atrocity held in the north. So many died, so many cried. Come back home, Ambazonians, to your homeland. Come back home, Ambazonians, to your homeland. This is our country, we need to be free. I want to be free. I need to walk from Manhattan to Bamenda. Hallelujah. It's been 2 years. It's been 40 years. We've been oppressed in Ambazonia through political strategy, scientific atrocity. We've been killed in Bamenda. Many died, some still crying, weeping in Ambazonia. Hallelujah. I'm calling on the Queen of England.
My fellow Ambazonians, my fellow countrymen and women, dear soldiers of the revolution, this is your servant, your commander-in-chief, Ayaba Lucas. It's been a long while since I spoke to you. The reason has been there are times when leaders retreat to plot, to scheme, to plan, and to keep the promises they have articulated to the people. And so I have been working very hard with my team, a team of dedicated patriots, patriot volunteers who've dedicated their lives to ensuring the freedom of our homeland. I have also been offline because after the third conclave, Skakov selected Comrade Ayuk as their chairman. And so, as a matter of respect, I needed to give some space for him to introduce himself to the population, build trust amongst our people, set his agenda straight. And so my absence was simply because at that particular instance, we didn't at any one moment want to portray a sense of competition or a sense of lack of understanding to that momentous moment into his coming onto the stage. But I am here today because I think he's had enough time to be able to introduce himself, set his priorities straight, and now we can return to the business of articulating the issues that bond us together and that has brought us here thus far. I want to thank you for your patience, your continuous dedication to the struggle for our liberation, and your understanding and support of those who've lost their lives and those who remain trapped in the dungeons of Cameroon. As usual, I begin my entreaties with calling on you to think about those who've lost their lives so I and you should be able to inhabit a free homeland. Think about those who've lost their freedom so that we may be free. In the past few weeks, I want you to think seriously about the video of Comrade Ndango in the dungeons of the jail of Cameroon. I don't want you to think about Comrade Ndango. I want you to think seriously about his daughter, his family, how they feel, the pain, the anguish, the uncertainty, seeing dad, husband, trapped someplace called hell, uncertain about tomorrow. I want you to think seriously how he ended up there, on whose behalf he was thrown in there. I want you to also think about the bravery he showed, the leadership he showed when he lined up the others to show them, to let their pain be understood. That was leadership, even in the heart of suffering. I want you to think about Ndango and think again seriously about the struggle for which others have lost their lives. That is why we are in phase 2 of the revolution. It is not marked simply by the rhetorics of the past, but it was shown in Brussels. In the past, in phase 1, we showed the world that we were willing to expatiate, to show the world about our plight, to speak to the minds of the international community, to undertake internationalization at its highest, to demonstrate targeted diplomacy at its highest. In phase 2, we must make Cameroon understand that the pain of the Ndangos wouldn't go in vain. The suffering of the Tatingos wouldn't be forgotten. The anguish of the Agbobalas, the Numbi Waters, the Cherclovis, the Fontaines, the Renes, all those who've gone before us. When you think about their suffering, and you sit in the same hall with the emissaries of Cameroon, preaching on a bully pulpit about your story, a story that was supposed to be told by you, but you've been lectured on by them, then you can understand why Comrade Dr. Lawrence Ayaba was so angry. You can understand why the patriot volunteers of Pretoria, the Doros, the Erics, and all the others who tore down the embassy gate, walk into that embassy and claim it for a couple of minutes for us. If you think about the suffering of all those who are in jail, you can understand why we pulled down the flag of Cameroon in Canada. You can understand the rage and anger of those who fought battles in London to make sure that the occupier does not have its day in the diaspora to lecture the international community about our plight. I have said to you several times, our story will be written by us. The last chapter of this struggle will be written by us. It will never again be written by those who have kept us in servitude, giving us pain, anger, uncertainty in the land of our birth. We showed them that in phase 2, embassy territory is no place for the diplomats of Cameroon to compile our case and lecture the international community. And I have instructed all Ambazonians, all activists, especially those in Pretoria. I do not only want the embassy taken over, burn it down if possible. Never you forget, the embassies of Cameroon are joint property. They have occupied it. We have a right, under 56 years of colonial occupation, to share this property. And we will decide when, how, and which embassy we will be able to take hold, hoist our flag, and proclaim it property of the state of Ambazonia. My fellow countrymen, my fellow countrywomen, you have shown in these places the anger in you. That is the spirit of phase 2 of the block-by-block revolution. You've taken your own blocks from London to Brussels to Pretoria to Ontario. You've defended it. In the next few weeks, it will be New York. I sure will be leading a delegation myself to be able to make sure that the United Nations is going to live up to its obligation to maintain international peace and security, and to ensure that those people under its charter who have a right to self-determination have the freedom to govern themselves, to exploit their resources and use it for their own development, to build capabilities within their homeland for themselves and for their people. I want to thank you very much for your sacrifices. We are not there yet. We've had some setbacks, but I can assure you that we are inching closer to what I promise you. The ungovernability of our state under the occupation of Cameroon. We are inching closer. Setbacks will come, like you have read in the past few weeks, of Ambazonians who have lost our trust and confidence, who portray themselves as warriors of the revolution, but weren't given the duty to plan, to scheme, and to provide to the activists on the ground the materials they need to defend our homeland. They are going to embezzle the funds. We are building a special prison for all those who've betrayed our struggle, who've shown arrogance in times of need of our people. But I can assure you, for every traitor that emerges, 10 patriot volunteers emerge to take their place and to make sure the setbacks we have are put back in the dustbin of history. My fellow countrymen and women, I have said many times that we need to be united. But we should not conflate unity with arbitrary actions of individuals who use the unity platform to usurp power and to arrogate to themselves the power to dismiss and to recruit individuals. The nepotic tendencies we've been fighting against for the past 56 years. We want to build an Ambazonia that is different from Cameroon. Your position is based on merit, and understanding, where there are compromises to be able to make sure we forge forward as a united people. We want to build an Ambazonia on a common platform based on mutual understanding of the stakeholders who create it. We want to build a unitary platform that reflects the constituent bodies that have put it together. And we are working extremely very hard to make sure that day comes. I want to warn you against easy fixes. Those easy exits that we accepted in 1966 when Ahijo destroyed other political formations to form a one unitary party state that emerged to become one of the most autocratic and repressive regimes in Africa. You must demand the best. You must make sure the scripts are clear for you to read. And we must ensure that the basis upon which a unitary platform is built, that the interpretation, application, and implementation of that premise is based on one of the greatest conventional clauses of history, on the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties. They must be interpreted in good faith. We are working hard to make sure that day comes. And I want to thank Dr. Mfong Galan for giving me the assurances and the AGC the assurances that the commission set in place to make sure we look into the schisms within SCACUF, the usurpations of power, will be dealt with by that commission. And I am confident we are going to emerge from this tunnel more united, more closer. You know, I have been attacked by so many. They have tried to bring me down. What Cameroon didn't achieve, a 0.1% of surrogates will not achieve. I am a soldier of the revolution. I will be here for a very long time to ensure that our people are free. And the government on Ambazonia, installed in Boya, will be able to take over the principles of governance. My fellow countrymen and women, in the past few weeks, we resolved in the Ambazonian Governing Council that there will be no schools within the territory of Ambazonia. And I am glad that I put forward that same position within SCACUF Governing Council. And after a long debate, we all agreed, as was put forward by Vice Chairman Tassan, that there will be no schools within the territory of Ambazonia. That is a law of the land. Those who violate it do so at their own peril. Lest you forget, as I have reminded you before, I standing here, I lost 13 years of my education after I was dismissed from the University of Boya. I stayed out for 13 years just to return to begin year one in the university. It is never too late. We have promised you the best educational system that will reflect the contextual realities of Ambazonia. A curriculum of education that reflects your need, the necessities of the international community, the opportunities it can create in terms of potentials. We are going to provide to you the best because you are the finest. You are the bravest people in Africa. You are the people who started a democratic system in Africa. And we are struggling today so that our children do not inherit the same kind of mess that we have been in for the past 56 years. Think about it. The regurgitated curriculum through which we were fed in schools. The 4 walls constructed as prison walls to keep us away from the street called education. It will never happen again. The Akums never died in vain. The children who've lost 1 year in education have not lost it in vain. They didn't lose it for a reformation of the educational system. They lost it because they wanted a free homeland of their own, where they will be able to institute a curriculum of education that reflects their necessities, the Anglo-Saxon educational system. We will give you the best. You must remain steadfast. You must be committed to the liberation of your homeland, and you must fight block by block to make sure that the occupier has no space within your homeland to practice its own policies of occupation. We will make sure, as we have done in the past 1 year, with our limited resources, to ensure we can implement and enforce the no return to school until the state of Ambazonia has its own independence, build its own system based on its customs and values. You can trust on my word, because we work day and night to make sure they become a reality. We might run short of time, but we will deliver for the people of Ambazonia. I want to also assure you, the Constitutional Affairs Committee of the Ambazonian Governing Council has been able to complete the first draft of the Constitution. It will share with other stakeholders. So we begin to build a perfect constitutional framework within which the economic policies, political policies, and social and defense policies will operate. We will build a system of rule of law based on a constitutionalism that reflects our customs, our values, and tradition. I want to thank Dr. Nyi for doing a good work, with Comrade Messner, Christophe, for the wonderful job they have done, and all members of that Constitutional Affairs Committee. We are working day and night for the liberation of our homeland. You have to trust in our ability in leadership. There will be setbacks. When it will be impossible to deliver, I will be right here to tell you. But for now, I can assure you, based on what I know, based on what we have been doing, based on what the collectivity of our people have shown, we are inching closer to that day when we will sing the hippie yap yap song in Boya to hoist our flag and proclaim the restoration of the state of Ambazonia for ourselves, for our children, and for all those who have given their lives to make sure that that day comes to pass. Thank you all for your sacrifices. My fellow countrymen and women, these are difficult times, but there are times full of hope, enthusiasm, anticipation. You can see it in the eyes of Ambazonians. You can see it in their demeanor. You can see it in all what they have been doing. They have shown you that they are dedicated for an ideal system, for a better place to call their own. I want to thank you all, the brave fighters on ground zero. Without you, we wouldn't be here. You've sacrificed enough. The Bayam Selams who have stayed at home on Mondays. The bike riders who have stayed at home on Mondays. The taxi drivers who have stayed at home on Mondays. Most especially to you who are brave teachers. You've given up a career. You've given up a year in the classroom to make sure you have a better classroom. To you who are lawyers, who have given up the best of and we have lined up several countries that will be willing to back us, to recognize us, to support us. But we must do our bit. And I want to thank you all for still trusting in us at this time of great uncertainty. Ambazonia shall be free. As a people, I have seen it. For my 28 years in this struggle, I bear the scars of humiliation, the scars of taunting. I've been in the trenches in your name. My body is covered with the mud of ruling in the trenches for Ambazonia. I will never give up until that day when we will be able to hoist our own flag in Boya, proclaim a homeland for ourselves, for our children.